What is going on, everybody? Coming to you live, Diversity Doug. Today we are going to break down food mascots, ladies and gentlemen. So you may or may not have heard the news that Land O'Lakes this week, I have a box of Land O'Lakes butter, this week announced that they were going to remove the Native American spokesperson in honor for just the simple logo, because leading up to their 100th anniversary, they felt that it was time to lose the Native American spokesperson. And I'm here today to break down some food mascots. What many of you who know me already know is that I have a collection of over 100 historical Aunt Jemima ads, memorabilia over the past 100 years, of which this is the ragdoll, and I'm going to share these with you today. But what I want to get into today is the importance of food mascots in the D&I conversation. So this Land O'Lakes announcement was done on a weekend, quietly, softly. The Land O'Lakes in the store, if you want to get a collector's version, still have the original box. But moving forward, Land O'Lakes will no longer have a food spokesman on the box, which is very important to understand. Now, the key is Land O'Lakes doing the right thing? Are they overreacting? I'm in the corner of, we have to realize that some ideas and some logos do not age well. So we're going to run through really quickly. 2017, the Cleveland Indians retired their Chief Wahoo logo as the official logo of the Cleveland Indians. So big shout out to them. But on the other hand, the Redskins have not, even though they lost the trademark protection for Redskins because it was considered by the USPTO an offensive term, they still have decided to go and keep the Redskins logo. This debate always comes up. Some broadcasters only say the word Washington. They won't actually say the name of the team. But how do these logos, notice the first three logos we talked about were all Native Americans. And I think it's important for everyone who views into this every day that we take time to look at the nature and the history of these words, of these logos, of these ideas. The word Indian was given to the individuals living here because Columbus thought he had made it to India. The name was never changed, but the name Indian is still used in common nomenclature. Native American is the correct term. But now, knowing that, putting Native Americans as logos for sports teams, food products as spokespeople, is this in the best taste in the year 2020? Now, there was another great article online today. It was starting to pick up steam, and it was about Dr. Seuss. And the article was, did you see the hip-hop mashup of Dr. Seuss and Dr. Dre by this guy who did this freestyle? And everybody's like, oh my God, it's so cute. I love Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Dre. But did you know that in his last life, Dr. Seuss, Dr. Theodore Seuss, was actually in advertising? And this gentleman made ads from 1920s to the 1940s for political ads and for products. And his ads were known because they were so savage on the racism. And the client that he worked most for was a bug spray repellent client called Flit. And in the ads, all the people in the ads that needed the spray the most were people of color, indigenous people, people from the Middle East, who were constantly followed around with flies. They're presented as blackface characters. But Dr. Seuss, don't get it twisted, was creating crazy racist cartoons for many years. Some of them are so bad I can't even show them because we are in a nice format over here. But trust me, Dr. Seuss is no angel, and we do need to relook at that. So Let's get into food mascots today. Number one, Miss Chiquita. She's been the Chiquita banana spokesperson. Miss Chiquita started out as a banana, okay? We knew what was going on. It's a banana with legs. I'm not sure what's going on with the art direction and creativity. But this logo is looked at as insensitive by many people because it sexualizes the Latina and Latin American culture. The women are primarily those who pick bananas. They're living and getting poverty wages. They're not really getting taken care of from benefits or anything like that. They're workers in a field. And a lot of people do not love the sexualization of the Chiquita banana mascot logo. It has changed many times since its inception until the last update was in 2018. But that's the first logo up for bed. Not sure, you could say in the comments, do you like Miss Chiquita? Should we keep her? Should we not? A little bit of American Idol on the logo hustle. The next logo up is Eskimo Pie. Eskimo Pie, another one of these logos like Chiquita Banana. Some people don't like it. Some people think Eskimo is a derogatory term. Some people don't like that it's associated with a specific Native American tribe in Alaska. But there is a movement to stop the term and the use of the word Eskimo. So that's what's going on with Eskimo Pie. Now, let's get into the meat of it all. Rastus, he is the spokesperson for cream of wheat. And if you look at the history of how Rastus got his name is because when the cream of wheat company started, they looked at names that they could trademark that weren't widely used, that were the most black ethnic name that they could find, and Rastus is what they came up with. There was less than 75 people in America named Rastus. They trademarked the name Rastus, kept this man on the front of the box up until they used a spokesman for him, a Chicago chef who recently passed away, well actually passed away in the 30s, never got paid compensation, never got royalties. So the man that you see on the cream of wheat box is actually a man named Frank L. White. Frank L. White is the actual name of the man on the cream of wheat box, but he's known as Rastus. I think it's time to go. Next up, and this is the key to the whole session today, the term aunt and uncle. So during times when black Americans were enslaved, okay, I don't like to use the word slavery because we are discounting the fact that these individuals were free, smart, beautiful, happy souls that were then enslaved, locked down by their masters and owner in a literal police state and forced to do labor with no medicine, no food, no rights, and no access to even stay with their own family. So if you use the word enslaved, it has a different power to it. The term aunt and uncle were given to people that were enslaved that they didn't want to have their last name. So if it was Aunt Steve, well, it probably wouldn't have been Aunt Steve, but if it was Uncle Steve or Aunt Jennifer, then they would tell the kids, call them Aunt Steve. I don't know why I keep calling them Aunt Steve. What's going on with Aunt Steve? Pride Month, June 1st, hashtag it. Uncle Steve, Aunt Jennifer, and they would tell the kids to refer to them as that, and they would refer to them as that. And that was a substitute to not attach the name of the family to those workers who were the most degraded and the most disenfranchised. Okay, so I already don't love the word aunt and uncle and auntie and uncle. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of it all. Coming up next, Uncle Ben's rice. Okay, Uncle Ben, not positive. He was an actual real person. He was a rice slinging servant who was always happy to serve his rice. Uncle Ben's rice. So, aunt and uncle, this is not working for me. Uncle Ben is still on the package today. In 1946, in the year 2007, he was named chairman of the board of the Uncle Ben Company. 2007, chairman of the board of the Uncle Ben Company. No pay, no compensation, no money, but they made Uncle Ben the chairman of the board. So I think it's time that we let some of these mascots go. And then coming up last, we have Aunt Jemima. Now, shout out first of all to Aunt Jemima, because keeping it all the way real, I'm buying Aunt Jemima all day, every day. Keeping it all the way real, I got the syrup, I got the pancakes. The quarantine has made me a better chef. I'm not going to lie, I'm buying the products. But for the sake of the history of Aunt Jemima, I could go into a whole session about it. But all I'm going to say is this. The world is torn on what to do with Aunt Jemima. Half of the people love Aunt Jemima. She's evolved over time. She's a beautiful black face on all these products that we buy. Some of the people don't like the connotation of Aunt Jemima on the box. Shout out to the evolution of the woman Aunt Jemima and to the brand that they built around this trademark. But also, shout out to the history of Aunt Jemima, who lived a long, hard life. So, as I was saying earlier, I have a collection of over 100 pieces of Aunt Jemima advertising, dolls, cups, memorabilia, everything, because I am obsessed with the story of Aunt Jemima. And what we should know is that in the late 1800s, Aunt Jemima was the name of a minstrel show. And for those that don't know what minstrel show is, it's white actors dressing up in black face paint. That's where blackface originates, because black actors weren't allowed to get jobs. They did their impression or impersonation of black Americans in minstrel shows. So there was a show called Aunt Jemima. And in the late 1800s, someone took the name after seeing the show and attached it to self-rising baking dough. Now, Nancy Green is a woman who portrayed Aunt Jemima on the boxes, and she was a former enslaved American. Since that time, the company's been sold and bought and bought and sold, and they've re-evolved her to be a beautiful woman on the front of the package. But I do want to show, just for a minute, these here. This only came out in a limited amount of time. These are 75-year-old Aunt Jemima rag dolls that you would get with your proof of purchase, okay? This is Aunt Jemima here. This is her husband, Uncle Moose, okay? This is the Jemima family. And on the back, they have the names, if you want to just see Uncle Moose. Then they had two babies together. They had Diana, okay? This is Diana. I don't also like that Diana's like low-key. She's probably being coy, but it's probably that she's trying to take this doll because they always threw a little extra in there. And then they have the son, Wade, who is chilling with a lollipop, and he also has a lollipop in the back, okay? So this is the Jemima family rag doll collection. So I show this to you to say that when we look at these mascots, we may not know what they mean, and the companies may have evolved them. But for the sake of D&I, it's important that we know and understand the information. Okay, today's one small business today is Wild Child Productions. The bad news is I did not load their logo up into the platform, so I cannot show them. But Wild Child Productions, 21-year-old production company. They're strong. They're killing the game. They're doing what they have to do in the creative services industry. So all I want to say is big shout out to Wild Child Productions. They are one small business of the day. So with that, I'm out of here. I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. I will be back tomorrow on the platform. We got some good comments here. I'm going to shout these out. Georgetta Foreman. Shout out to Georgetta Foreman, who I've known for 20 years probably. Oh my God, can you believe it, Georgetta? Before your last daughter was born, I've known you since before that. So shout out to Georgetta. She was working on Let's Make a Deal when we met, so she was killing it in the live promo space. Rachel Heller, give a shout out to her. Samantha, Jasmine, Dorothea, and Walt Gear. So Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Diversity Doug.